the video, the voyeurism charge, the video of that was made back in 2008, somewhere around there. It's an old video. I don't know if that matters or not, but my point is that it's not something I was out doing since getting out of prison. It's just something I had on hand.
Even that description is a little disturbing, sir. Something you had on hand. So back in your prior criminal justice system involvement, where you offended against 2 minor children when you were 26, the victim found a video camera in her bedroom when you were babysitting her, and she turned it off when she found it. And your response was, it was one video and I took stills of her. And now we have information on a camera that you set up in the bathroom of a friend's house to videotape the child using the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.
So now you're, basically producing your own materials.
Yes, ma'am.
We are about to watch the parole hearing of a Connecticut man who was initially sentenced to 5 years in prison for harming a 5-year-old and an 11-year-old child. Now, I'll go over these documents with you in the unpacking, but it's noted that his public defender told the judge that he ranks as a low risk score, according to the test that the DOC evaluated him with, and that he will be responsive to supervision and treatment. Now, of course, after he was released for serving just 4 years of that 5-year sentence, he was caught again. Now, we're going to go over the details of what he was caught doing again. I wonder how, being that he was a low risk score. But what do we know? We're not in charge. We're not the judges. We're not the DAs. But listen to this. After being caught and arrested again, he was sentenced just another 5 years. And up for parole 1 year after that sentencing date. Can you make it up? Well, I'll unpack it at the end.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Harkness Joseph, 396738.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration for a parole application for Joseph Harkness, 39678. He is serving a sentence of 20 years, executed suspended after 5 years with 20 years of probation for illegal possession of voyeurism. As of today, records reflect a eligibility date of July 5th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There's an offender accountability date for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has to follow up programs. No programs have been completed to date. Utilizing statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system scores, the offender's overall score for recidivism falls in a high range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I'm sorry. What was
This is your opportunity to express to the board why you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I've changed a lot since I've gotten in prison this time. I'm in group right now, and I'm learning a lot on why my mind works the way it does and how to block that out and how to change it and how to be better. I wish to get out so I could start my life over and do things a lot differently. I want to go to school for CNC work and get a job doing CNC and be successful and re-enter the community and be safe and be a positive member of society.
Did you write anything down for today, Mr. Harkness?
No, I did not.
Okay. Is that everything you wanted to say?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you had a discretionary parole hearing back in 2016, so you know how this works.
Yes.
So we'll begin questions with panel member Page.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Harkness, I appreciate your honesty, especially when you were speaking with parole officer in preparation for today's hearing. You explained that you admitted your attraction and that you wanted more knowledge about why you were behaving in the manner that you were. You said in your opening statement that you were able to learn ways to suppress these feelings. Can you share those with us?
First off is tunnel vision. You all the stuff that would be of an attraction, you know, to trigger an attraction, to block it out and to move forward away from it, and just to deny the battle essentially. The other way is victim access, to not allow myself victim access.
Well, okay, I can appreciate that, but from reviewing your file, it seems as if you were able to comply with everything, all the conditions of your probation until you were almost done with the program. And then that's when they found out that you were viewing porn and you were deceptive in your polygraph test. So do you think that you were going to get away with it because you were almost done with the program?
I had actually finished the program. I was out of the connections group, if that's what you're talking about.
So I am, but they were still monitoring you, were still participating in the testing.
I thought that I was going to be monitored until the end of my probation period anyways, and I was only halfway through probation. So I don't know about that, but no, I guess you could say I did believe that there was a chance I could get away with it, but that wasn't why I was doing it. I was doing it because I fell down a really bad rabbit hole after COVID had hit. I wasn't working. I was at home all the time, and
you plan on going right back to your dad's house. My concern is the isolation piece, that you hide this stuff and people don't know what you're doing. And then when they do find out, everyone finds out about it, kind of thing. And are you in the short-term program or the
what?
The short-term sex offender treatment there? Which are you in the short-term or short track or what are you?
Track
Oh,
one?
no, I'm in long track.
Good. And I see that you don't finish until October.
Yes. They
Yeah.
doubled up. They're trying something new. They're doing 2 classes a week now.
Wow. I can tell you right now, Mr. Harkness, your underlying offenses were concerning, and then to come back with new offenses in the same nature is very concerning for me. I wouldn't even feel comfortable even discussing your request for discretionary parole until you were done with that.
I understand.
And I would suggest to you that if, we decide by chance that to deny you today and have you come back, I would take time out to write something down to show to us that you're able, like an action plan to avoid this from happening again. Because this is very serious. These innocent children who are being victimized over and over again because of people like yourself who can't, So one of the things I read in your report was that your lack of concern for others and your impulsive actions, and you're using sex as coping. That's what the sex offender evaluation says. these are things that you really need to focus on, because these people, whether they don't look like people or you don't know them, whatever the case may be, they are still people, and they're being victimized. So I would just try to focus on demonstrating that you're capable of identifying some of your triggers and how to combat some of those triggers. Okay,
Agreed.
thank you, Dr. Chen.
Okay, so Mr. Harkness,
Excuse me.
you have a lot of supervision ahead of you, 20 years of probation. You have 15 years of this sentence hanging over your head when you do go out into the community. You have been designated to appear on the state sex offender registry for life. And your prior incarceration, you did track 1. Then you went out into the community and you did problem sexual behavior treatment. Yeah, through December of 2019. And now you're back with more charges, another video camera that you're using to capture footage of children. And
May I say something about that real quick? The video, the voyeurism charge, the video of that was made back in 2008, somewhere around there. It's an old video. I don't know if that matters or not, but my point is that it's not something I was out doing since getting out of prison. It's just something I had on hand.
even that description is a little disturbing, sir. Something you had on hand. So back in your prior criminal justice system involvement, where you offended against 2 minor children when you were 26, the victim found a video camera in her bedroom when you were babysitting her, and she turned it off when she found it. And your response was, it was one video and I took stills of her. And now we have information on a camera that you set up in the bathroom of a friend's house to videotape the child using the bathroom.
Yes, ma'am.
So now you're, basically producing your own materials.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think you need in order to bring about change in your life?
Structure. And I'm learning that in here. I'm also learning the outcome of what I've done. The people I've hurt, I've seen, I've lost so much since I've came in here. The first time I lost 2 grandparents, this time I lost 1 grandparent and an uncle and an aunt. I'm seeing so much loss. So I'm understanding that my actions have really bad reactions, bad consequences. People I've loved dying while I'm in here. So.
Well, you do have voices on your OAP. Did you take that in your last incarceration?
What was your question?
The Voices program. Did you take that the
Yes.
last time you were in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, it's on your OAP again. Have you heard anything about you on the wait list for that?
Yeah, I wrote them and they said that I'm on the wait list and to wait my turn. They got backed up again because of COVID. So they're running
Well, we're
through.
seeing plenty of people today, sir, who have taken the Voices program. So, they're catching up. But the reason that I bring it up is because, your opening statement was devoid of anything by way of an apology or any appreciation for the harm that your choices to actively view and download child has on society, on the children who are victimized in the production of this material? Anything you want to say about that?
You are right. You're very right. And that I am very sorry for society. I'm sorry for the harm that I've done to the people of the videos I've made and of the videos and images that I have viewed.
Not people, children.
Children. And I'm sorry to society for wasting resources and being a drain on society and being, somebody who society fears. And, the fact that because of people like me exist, society has to worry. I'm sorry for that too.
So why do you think, thank you for acknowledging the harm that your choices cause out in the world. Why do you think with the program in the facility, the supervision you were under, the treatment that you completed out in the community, why was none of that sufficient to bring about a change such that you weren't continuing down this rabbit hole you described?
It actually was. It was the facility program at the time was not, but the program on the outside through connections was great. And I did change, and I was doing great for a while. And then, like I said, once COVID hit and I couldn't work anymore, my father has heart disease and diabetes. I couldn't work, and I was in isolation on computer all the time, watching TV, and it was a slow
Descent.
descent. Thank you, perfect word.
But, Mr. Harkness, you had the tools, you had the education, and you made the choice anyway to go to the rabbit hole, to
Yes,
pick up
you
the
are right.
computer, instead of doing something that might have helped your community or might have been positive. You self-isolated, and then you went to the effort to hide all of this because you knew you were still on probation supervision.
Yes.
So these are red flags for me. These are warning signs that we can give you all the help and insight and programming available, and here we are. You got granted discretionary parole 2017. It's an enormous ask that you're back here on just as serious, if not more serious charges, looking for early release on the 5 years you have to serve.
I understand.
Good, glad you do. What do you think you could do in the facility with the time remaining on your sentence to prepare yourself to be successful and not reoffend when you're back in the community?
I'm going to finish my programs and just continue working on my mind and how to rewire my brain in order for me not to go down that path again.
Have you had a job there in the facility?
No, it's not easy for sex offenders in this facility. It's all open.
I would encourage you to seek out, even if you're volunteering in a capacity as a cleaner of some sort or in the kitchen before you get a job, because you have very limited work skills, and I think it can help you build your self-esteem and prepare you with a solid work ethic for when you're back in the community. A lot of people did a an about face during COVID and pivoted to other employment, just to be out there trying to help, to earn a paycheck. And, you know, you should be prepared for that at any point in life, because, you know, you're going to be on the sex offender registry. People are going to find that out. It's going to make them uncomfortable, and you're going to have to, you know, pivot to doing something else. So you should always be developing your skills so that you're ready to take on some other job, because, you know, really clearly your downfall is free time. And I share my colleague's concern that you're going to, I think it was concern that you're going to go live with your dad. You're 38. You know, perhaps you should give some thought to, you know, standing on your own 2 feet in a halfway house and getting your life in order and living by the structure of a halfway house. You know, it could be good for you for rebuilding, but
Understood.
Ms. Palmieri.
So, Mr. Harkness, I think many things have been covered. I did look at your prior hearing and made a note to myself that you talked about getting mental health treatment. Is that something you ever followed through with while you were out in the community?
Actually, it is. I went to Torrington Health and Wellness Center. I got into a group program there. I was doing that until I got a job that interfered with that. I was also doing one-on-one treatment. I was doing that until COVID hit. And then I was doing one-on-one over the phone for a little while. And then I pretty much fell off of that too. But like I said, it was a descent.
Yeah, it sounds like you're able to step back and look at the progression of,
Yes, ma'am.
of how you ended up where you are today. Yeah. Did you find that you benefited from the prior treatment at special services when you were in the community?
Yes, all the treatment that I went through was actually pretty good.
Good. Okay.
Even when I was in Brooklyn, the sex offender treatment wasn't great there, but it was pretty good.
And you're doing the treatment now, and are you finding that you're able to see things from a little differently, even from before, dig a little deeper, gain further insight?
Yes, Melissa is a very brilliant person. She's taught me so much in just the past, I believe, 2 months it's been. It's early on in the program still, but I have learned a lot.
And
I do have a ways.
the fact that the program is 2 times a week, is that to move it along a little quicker, or is that for other reasons, do you think?
I think it's both. I think it's to move it quicker, but it's also to be more intensive in that short amount of time.
Do you find that it is more intensive since it's 2 times a week?
Yeah, not in a bad way, but in a good way. I think it helps more.
Good.
Because you're not, like you said, I'm not getting free time in between as much, so I'm working more on it.
But I do agree that you seem to be able to identify, you know, what your struggles are, where you're, as Ms. Turner said, that your descent happened, and I think that will hopefully benefit you as you move forward.
Agreed.
But it is hard to talk about release to parole today when you haven't finished the program.
I agree 100%.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman.
All right, so we're done with questions. So give us just a minute. Panel member,
Yes, ma'am.
please.
Well, I can appreciate that Mr. Harvard is in the program and scheduled to complete it in October of this year. Given this is his second sex offense and he's not done it until 2026, I would deny him today for inadequate program participation. And I would have him come back at best, I would say, in a year. Still rates out high. in terms of risk for recidivating, and also he's a moderate to high risk in terms of recidivating with a sex offense. So, in the interest of public safety and to give him another opportunity at this, I think that a year is one.
Councilmember Palmieri?
I agree with that. I think it's all, it's obvious. The concern is that it's his second time with these types of charges, and it's after he finished special services in the community and was continuing with the maintenance polygraphs. I do agree with the denial for today, and I am also interested in bringing him back for a rehear in a year.
I think he did well when he was in the community under parole supervision. But I think that if there are other things listed on his OAP that he can work on for himself, maybe advocate for mental health in there.
Right.
There's so many things that he can do to try to better himself for his future.
So, I agree with the denial and I oppose the rehear. So, what are your recommendations for him? Complete track 1?
And yes, any other positive programs that he can, and he hears us talking, so he can advocate for himself.
Right.
Refrain from incurring any additional disciplinary infractions. Come up with a relapse prevention plan. That's going to be key for him.
And get a job in the facility.
That's I mean, if he was in Brooklyn, it'll probably be a little different, but there, I'm sure that he's probably at risk.
He can also work on, as you said, a relapse prevention plan and a release plan. Maybe be able to secure some type of employment even before he goes out to the community, which will go to his belief that structure helps him.
And when do you want to rehear him?
In July,
of 2025?
give him if he's granted.
Right.
That doesn't mean that you are going to be.
Understood.
In the matter of Joseph Harkness, inmate number 396738, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: inadequate program participation, inadequate release plan, offense committed while on probation. Anything else?
I just had the
Okay. And further move to rehear you in July of 2025 with the recommendation that you complete the track 1 program you're in now. You look to participate in other positive programs. Perhaps you can get into voices again, not receive any additional disciplinary reports, and return to your next hearing with a release plan and a relapse prevention plan. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. So we'll see you in a year, Mr. Harkness.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Yep. So they're going to give him another rehearing in a year, and we're going to cover it. If you're not familiar with this channel, that's not an empty promise. We keep tabs on our hearings and we have follow-up hearings. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see how justice is done or not done. I mean, already, frankly, everyone has been failed in this. I'm going to read to you the report of his initial arrest. Remember when he was ranked a low risk score and the judge gave him just 5 years? How is it that you can then violate again while on probation after getting released on parole a year early and only be given 5 more years? Yes, it's a 20-year sentence, 15 suspended. Why wouldn't you give, I don't know, 15 years with maybe 50 years, suspend? What world is another 5-year sentence with parole eligibility after a couple? How does that make sense? He's clearly a risk to children. Judge, you want to take a chance on him? Make that make sense to anyone with basic common sense. He's not even any type of serious predator. He checks the boxes and on all of the results, to hide cameras. These are things that okay, all right, let me go through the information with you and on this initial arrest, and then we'll go through the information on how he got caught again. But let's remember that this started when he was caught physically touching a 5-year-old and also an 11-year-old. Okay? He's already jumped over to his from fantasy to fulfilling that. This was when he was sentenced to only 5 years. So he pleads guilty to felony risk of a child charges, but he was originally also charged with 4th-degree sexual assault. After parents were told by their children that he had reached down to the front of their pants, Harkins was identified as a family friend who the mother of one of the babies had known for many years, although one of the fathers said he never trusted the man, calling him touchy-feely with kids. Isn't it interesting? Normally, is it normally, or is it just like what's the word I'm looking for? Where we say, the mother has that sixth sense, and it's usually the mother that, and, maybe fathers can as well, right? Harkins reached a plea deal with prosecuting state's attorney Terry Sonneman, the knight in shining armor, protector of our children, pleading guilty to risk of injury to a child. Harkins could have elected for a jury trial. During sentencing arguments, the public defender, John Cizik, argued for lenient sentencing. Judge James, I'll call you Pinocchio, was not required to accept the plea deal reached between the prosecutor and the defense. Thank you for pointing that out. The judge was not required, but the judge did. Cizik, the defense attorney, said Harkins scored low risk on the sex offender evaluation test, which, by the way, we can go over after this if you want. We've done it a few times. I'll show you what that 10-point questionnaire test looks like. It's a joke. And said he would be responsive to supervision and treatment. Because we all know that those who do these type of offenses of course, we all know that you can rewire your brain to all of a sudden like adults your own age. Quite frankly, I think the mandatory minimum sentence is a shame. We give people these cookie cutter sentences, says Cizik, referring to the 5-year minimum sentence for Hark's crime. I don't think 5 years in jail is going to do him any good, said his defense attorney. Wow, you clown. You pathetic. You're a defense attorney. I don't think mandatory minimum. You mean that what he's saying, what this cockroach attorney is saying for his cockroach client, and these attorneys, you can be a defense attorney. You can, everyone deserves a defense attorney. It's a beautiful thing about our system, but you don't need to zealously defend him in the sense with insane statements like this. You think that 5-year minimum is stupid? Yeah, it's stupid that's the minimum. The minimum should be 25 years. It's 2 children. I don't think it's going to do him any good, really. Uh-huh. Yeah, you're right. He was right about that because 5 years didn't do him any good. He has every right to say this, and I have every right to disagree, said the judge, Pinocchio. At least he admits it, said Pinocchio, saying that he believes Harkness was both giving the families a sense of closure and sparing them lengthy trial and testimony. Mm-hmm. In an uncommon glimpse into the judicial condition, Pinocchio said, I think the legislator imposed mandatory minimum to ensure that proper punishment is meted out. We all hope the victims recover, said Pinocchio. The victims are one of so many I've dealt with here in Litchfield. You do these cases year in and year out, and they do wear you out because they're so tragic, said Judge Pinocchio. Harkness cannot hold a job involving minors, cannot contact with anyone under 16 years without prior approval, must register as a sex offender. He was originally charged in October 2011 and pleaded guilty to risk of injury to minor on June 19, 2013. The case was investigated by the police department, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, and as you can see, Judge Pinocchio agreed to it while stating, they like to talk out of two sides of the face. I'm so used to this. I think that this is done. I think it's like, shut up. Give him more time. It takes 2 seconds by looking at him and hearing what he says to know that he'd be a risk, but no. And then they parole him after 4 years. They call him a low risk. And what's he do while he's out? What does he do while he is out, as we can see now? But I'll go over to what it is in more detail. Thank you again, Richard. So I'm just going to read it to you because it's in a format that I can't share it. So, before I do, I want to point out, remember how he said, what they found me with, that footage that they were caught me with, it's something I had on hand that I made in 2008. And remember, that's a slip up of his tongue because he's not convicted of producing anything in 2008. He's only convicted of this crime that he did for touching someone. So he slipped that up, right? Of course, it's no shock to us to know that he's been doing this stuff since 2008. He's been doing it his whole life, right? But I thought that was interesting. June 17, 2023, a Plymouth man already registered as a sex offender for sexually assaulting 2 children ages 6 and 11 in 2011 is expected to face sentencing next month after he was caught secretly recording a young girl in a bathroom, according to court documents. And I also want to point this out, that he's caught lying, because remember in this parole hearing, he said, no, the new stuff, it was old. It was from 2008. We're looking at documents that says you're a liar. It wasn't 2008. Joseph could be seen setting up a hidden camera in a video that appeared to be homemade, as investigators were reviewing 146 videos, 398 images of suspected child CP, as well as 5,553 still images and 171 videos which appear to be child of undetermined age, according to the arrest warrant. The materials were discovered after he failed a polygraph test in December of 2021 as part of his offender probation conditions. And to think that he was almost done with his probation, and they're saying he actually was done, and maybe, think about that. Asked if he had viewed any CP within the last year, the affidavit said he also disclosed during the test that he had unauthorized electronic devices, which in violation of probation. Probation officers and police conducted an unannounced home visit not long after the polygraph test, and good on them on doing this. Good on them. They're doing a good job. Seizing a cell phone and a memory card containing hundreds of files of CP. Authorities said they discovered CP that showed children engaged in acts, with some who appeared to be as young as 3 years old. Investigators noticed one of the videos appeared to have been made by Harkins, which showed him hiding a camera in a pile of clothing before picking up a piece of underwear from the pile and smelling it. The camera was left pointing towards the toilet when he left the room before a young child could be seen entering the room and using the bathroom. Yes. And now he was held in $250,000 bond. While he awaits sentencing scheduled for July 18th, he has pled guilty to 1 count each of first-degree possession of CP and voyeurism, and he admitted to 2 counts of violation of probation. And all of that was 5 years in prison. Make it make sense. They had him hook, line, and sinker. They had him for every charge in the book. They have the images. They have the proof. They can get him on each count. According to this website, after a Google search, possession of CP in the second degree is a Class C felony punishable by up to 10 years in jail, 2 years mandatory minimum. And for the state of Connecticut. Okay. And how many counts do they have him on? How many hundreds? And it's 5 years. Why? I mean, what do we know? We're not. It's the same judge that makes the same two-faced statement about, oh, it's so exhausting to see all these cases. There's not much we can do. It's so terrible. And he was a low risk score. And you say, how is it possible? How is it possible? Well, this is a statewide collaborative risk score that all our states use. You can't get states to agree on anything, but they all agreed on this piece of crap, on this piece of garbage. The purpose of the risk score is to have the lowest score possible. A 0 makes you a low risk. Actually, a 1 makes you a low risk. And you can have as low as a 0 to 3. So why would he have ranked a low risk score? Depending on the age when he was caught. This would have been his first point, a 1, because he was under the age of 34. If you're older than 60, you negative 3 points. Does that make any sense to anyone with a brain cell? No. People 61 years old are just as dangerous, but whatever. Have you ever lived with a lover? If he had a girlfriend, he'd have a 0. Have you ever had any? The next 6 questions are all about any previous convictions. Because he had no previous convictions, it would have been 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay. Which is, again, ridiculous, because how many of these crimes do we see where it's their first conviction? Have you had any convictions for non-contact sex? Right, they go on, okay, another one. Then any unrelated victims, because his victim was unrelated. Any unrelated? Yes, so he'd have a point for that. Any stranger? No, these were not strangers. Any male? No. So because of that, he has a, I don't know, it seems that he'd actually have 2 points, because it says any convictions, any unrelated. So he might have 2 points for this, but I don't get it. But by the way, any male victims? No. Oh, 0 points. So, but anyways, I don't know. He was somehow considered a low risk score. And look at this. They say if you're a low risk score, you only have a 0.7% chance of recidivism, which we know is not true. We know that's, come on. Anyways, so this is it. This is the system that is put in place to protect our children. There is none. It's insane. Why? Remember, he had been caught already doing it, actually fulfilling his fantasies. And here he is. Here he is getting caught while on probation, producing it, holding it, and they do nothing. This is why we do this. And with that, I'll let you go.
Has on society, on the children who are victimized in the production of this material? Anything you want to say about that?
You are right. You're very right. And I am very sorry for society. I'm sorry for the harm that I've done to the people of the videos I've made and of the videos and images that I have viewed.
Not people, children.
Children.